Hey guys, welcome back to Coin Knowledge. So today we're going to be talking about what is going on right now. Is crypto over? Is the bull market canceled? Should you sell all your positions or should you double down? Now, as always, if you guys get value out of the video here today and the content, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video. Your support means everything. So we take a look here. What just recently happened? We saw that Bitcoin, went over from about, over 100K. Sharply, it declined to about 93K in less than 48 hours. Now, obviously, this has been the result of the most recent FOMC meeting. We saw that, with the talk of, rate cuts and their, decision to do a slower rate cut in 2025. And, we see the money printer is not quite turned on yet. We are seeing that the market is reacting this way, not just crypto. I mean, traditional markets too. We're seeing everything kind of dip over this, but if you actually do pay attention to what happened in that meeting, a lot of things were positive. I think one big thing is you could take it as we are not going into a recession, with slower rate cuts. I don't think a recession is likely. Not that it was, completely off the table. It never is, but, I think that is a positive here. But again, those FOMC meetings, we talk about some quite often, kind of hint at them. If you guys want to know more about what happened in those meetings and the impact they have in the markets, then as always, I consider you to do your own research, or I encourage you to do your own research. Now, it's not something we're going to get into in depth here today, but the next meeting is the end of January. So until then, we could see the markets kind of just consolidate, for the next 30 to 40 days right now. So yes, I don't think, we're going to rip to the stratosphere as far as altcoin season goes right now. Worst case, this recent meeting might have postponed or delayed the bull run, maybe by a month, maybe 2-3 months, but it is no means at all canceled. So again, if you are holding altcoins or Bitcoin or anything, do not sell. In my opinion, I think selling right now, especially if you're at a loss, is not a smart decision. Now, obviously, nothing I say here is financial advice, just giving you guys my opinion. Now, one of the things, we brought up in the beginning was it time to sell? Is it time to double down? Now, in my opinion, I think, moments like this, dips that we're seeing right now in the markets with everything, kind of retracing and reacting to Bitcoin and the overall, real world events does, potentially bring up the good opportunity for different DCA zones, because again, we're seeing so many altcoins here on that 7-day just plummeting in the red. Now, some altcoins are already starting to show a little bit of sign of strength, but again, I do think that the markets are not going to go full parabolic, any day now. I think you do still have some time to DCA because of what has recently happened with events. Now, that does lead into the question of where am I currently looking? Now, this is not going to be a video of getting into individual altcoin picks or individual, coins or stuff that I'm buying or, watching. If you guys have been around the channel, you guys know by now in all the different narratives we're going to be talking about today, some of our favorite picks, and you can put together, if you've been on the channel for any amount of time now, what exactly we're looking at. But, 3 main categories I'm looking at is AI, gaming, and RWA. Again, those are the 3 top narratives I think are going to set you up for success this bull cycle. Ones that we've been covering, for a long time now. If you guys have been around, gaming for multiple years since the last cycle. But if we take a look at it, again, when we look at AI, we're seeing, some of the sector leaders, down right now. Obviously, we're seeing Render down 20%, BitTensor down 15%. Now, again, some of these have done a slight bounce, as you can see on everyone's charts. They have already kind of bounced back a little bit. But again, if you guys have been around the channel, you guys know, when these major dips happen, these are the moments you want to potentially DCA. Again, there's always that quote of, buy when others are fearful and sell when others are greedy. So it's, everyone is a genius, obviously, when Bitcoin is up at 107, 110K, but nobody wants to buy when it's at 93K, and that is just backwards thinking. Now, I'm not going to get into that too hard because that is a rant that I'm trying to avoid right now. But either way, when we're looking across the market, in my opinion, nothing has changed. I mean, fundamentally, this market has not changed. We are still right on track for an altcoin season. And more than anything, what I want you guys to be aware of, I think this is a positive move. The markets were acting and they were moving extremely quick, in Q4, Q3 of this year alone since November. Things were ramping up extremely fast. So if, we didn't have some kind of event like this, there was the potential chance, everyone was speculating there was a potential chance of maybe a local, if not a cycle top, Q1 of 2025. But due to this big pullback, due to the recent news at that meeting, I do think that it is healthy for the markets to be reacting the way that it is. And again, if you can look at any of your favorite altcoins, we'll just use, for an example, really, let's just use anything. Let's look at Aether. I don't think this one dipped that much though, but let's we go on the 1 month chart, of course we choose one that does not dip. But as an example, if an altcoin you're looking at, 7 days ago was at 30 cents and now it is at 7 cents, but fundamentally nothing has changed, that is a great DCA zone if that's something that you've been looking at. Again, that was a terrible example. Aether has been holding up quite well, but again, if that should make sense. If you have a watch list that you've put together, which you should have by now, you guys have had plenty of time to do so, then you want to go ahead and capitalize on those different price targets. If you feel you've missed the boat on some of these altcoins, then that is a great time to accumulate. I mean, TARS AI is one that we talked about recently. We've talked about TARS AI for so long here on the channel, around 10 cents and under. We've been talking about TARS AI pretty much since they launched earlier this year. So this is one, obviously it's been doing quite well, kind of encroaching onto that 50-cent range level. Throughout the dip here recently, we saw it, just like everything in the markets, take a harsh dip all the way down to 26 cents. Now, nothing fundamentally has changed with TARS. It is still a quality project. It is still a major AI token on Solana. So in my opinion, if you thought that you missed the boat on TARS, if you were, if it was on your watch list, if you thought you'd missed the boat at 45 cents, well then at 25 cents was a great opportunity for a DCA zone, because again, when we see, it has already bounced from 25 cents. Right now it's back to about 40 cents here. So that dip got eaten up quite well. But again, that's the kind of mindset you have to have when the markets are doing what it's doing right now. You do not get shaken out. Again, if you hold a position in any altcoin, or if you have your wallet, your portfolio is probably down. Like a lot of us, your portfolio is probably down. I don't think most people are up 10x right now. Obviously, in the last couple of days, it's very common to be down. Just if you're already in the markets and you don't have any liquidity on the side, first of all, you should never be fully in the markets. You should always have some dry powder to deploy into major dips like this, because in a bull market, dips could potentially offer good DCA zones. Now, that is not financial advice, obviously, but if you do not have any liquidity on the side, if you're all in, if you're happy with where your portfolio is, then just turn it off. Just don't look on days like today, because if you still think that we have an altcoin season in the future, we still have one ahead of us, there is no point to get shaken out and to be worried and to go scrambling in your portfolio on red days like this. If you are set and you're not looking to add, then just don't look at your portfolio. That's some of the best advice I could probably give to you right now. And if you do have some dry powder on the side, obviously, hopefully you already capitalized on the major dip we saw yesterday or the day before. If not, then I still think some projects have not bounced yet. So again, I'm looking at AI. We're seeing a lot of projects that are obviously down. Now I'm looking at gaming as well. Gaming is obviously a top narrative that we talk about quite often on the channel. Now gaming coins, they took a huge beating, mainly because gaming has not really been that hot of a narrative compared to stuff like memes and AI recently in 2024. So when we look at stuff, just as an example, again, stuff like Beam that we talked about recently, Beam has gone ahead and they've been doing, their insane, node sale recently, which again, I'm not going to get into too depth of individual videos, just using as example here. Beam was, at about 3.5 cents. I think it was even like closing in on 4 cents here. Yep. So almost 4 cents. Another great example, shot down to about 2 cents here. So when we look at Beam, it was about $2 billion in market cap, got all the way down to closer to $1 billion. That was about a 45% drop on a super high cap quality altcoin. One of the leaders in the gaming space. So if you didn't want to take on too much risk, but you did want to go in with size on an altcoin of this size, then again, just as an example, that's the power of having that dry capital or dry powder, that spare capital on the side if you want to, deploy into some of these big dips, because this is not going to be the last dip you see this bull market. That is a guaranteed fact. There is going to be multiple pullbacks and dips throughout the cycle. So if you think that even on this one, if you don't have the money right now, or if you are all in the markets, which again, I do not recommend at any point, but if you cannot, partake in, right now these dips, well, again, I do think that we are not going to go parabolic here anytime soon. I could be wrong, but, we do see the next FOMC meeting is the end of January. I think January 28th, around there. So that is the next date everyone is looking at right now. So I think you do still have time. Don't go scrambling into anything. And some altcoins, again, whether they're down 20% on the week, they're still 10% up on the day. So we could still see things dip a little bit more, but again, that is just an example. So gaming is another sector I'm looking at. Then we go into RWA, another example. If we look at something like, if we go down a little bit, sorry, we look at just an example. We see 20% down. Something like Clearpool hasn't obviously recovered yet or bounced back. Now, no pick on Clearpool, just using it as an example. Or if we're looking at something like Render, hopefully you guys are getting the theme here that dips are potentially a catalyst that you want to definitely take advantage of. Now, if there was some other black swan event, then this would be a different conversation. But because of what event is causing this market shift, I still think that we are still on track. Nothing fundamentally has changed my conviction level. As always, comment below if you guys think differently, or if you think that I'm wrong here. If you think the bull market is over, be happy to have a conversation in the comment section below. Try to answer all your guys' comments. But something like Really was a great example, in the RWA space, where it was about $1.25, and then it shot all the way down, obviously, to 78 cents. So right there alone is about almost like a 40% drop right there, and it is already recovered and closing back in on $1. Now, I say it's already recovering on a lot of these, but again, because where we're at right now, things could still keep going down. Nobody knows. Expect the next couple days to potentially be a little choppy, but then I'm expecting a couple weeks of consolidation at the current, where everything is standing right now. Partial is one that we've obviously talked about that just listed on Coinbase. It shot up to about 60 cents here very recently. And then, like always, and we did put a notice in the Patreon that, on the listing day for Partial on Coinbase, I did let you guys know to expect some, volatility, some price action here, because most of the time, something like a Coinbase listing right now, even though we are at this time, we were in a good state of the market, but we were not in a full-blown altcoin season. I do think, this was a potential buy the rumor, sell the news event, and that kind of played out to be as such, as now it has now retraced all the way back to the mid-30s, but still had a pretty decent evaluation, in my opinion, for a potential DCA. I'll throw that one out there, but either way, guys, that is just kind of a rough update, just kind of keeping you guys updated here, just letting you know, because yes, because we're seeing a lot of red in the markets, yes, because we're seeing Bitcoin obviously down on the 7-day, even on the 24 hours, the questions are already flowing in the comment sections of different videos. Bitcoin's crashing. Should I sell? I'm at a loss. Should I recover? Should I just sell my position? Is the cycle over? Is the top in? Are we not going higher? To all of those questions, I answer, don't freak out. This is normal. Nothing is out of the normal here for the market cycles. This was to be expected. Obviously, in a bull market, nothing is going to go up forever. I think this consolidation and this, healthy pullback is just that, healthy for the markets, as we were moving at an incredibly fast rate here. I mean, you have to realize that, before November, Bitcoin was only around $70,000. And just in Q4 in the last, 45, 60 days alone, we saw Bitcoin go from about mid 70s all the way up to almost 110. That is an insane move, bull market or not, that is still an insane price action. So please don't forget that Bitcoin is still just, a coin. It is just an asset, and it can still have those major pullbacks. Just because it does go up to 107,000 does not mean, by any stretch of the imagination, that it can't fall back down to 70, 80K as well. Now, I don't think that those levels are going to be quite hit, but please realize that we could go back to about 90K, if something else happens. That is not unheard of. That is why you do keep that extra liquidity, money on the side. Never be all into the markets, because if you were, then you cannot take advantage of dips like this. So as always, guys, please understand, we still have a bull market ahead of us. We still have a crazy altcoin season potentially ahead of us. I say potentially because, not financial advice. Nobody knows for sure. Nobody can predict, what's going to happen in the next 6 to 12 to 18 months. But that is my opinion. That is my belief that we are still on track. I'm not worried about this. Again, I would rather have, the altcoin season or the bull market maybe top out towards the end of 2025 than Q1 2025, especially the fact that most of us have been here for years since the last cycle, waiting for this moment. Let's not have it all be shot in January and then wait another 3 to 4 years. So that is my opinion. Let me know if you're, capitalizing on the different dips and discounts we're seeing across the space, across the markets here. Or, like I said, if you are all in, let me know what you're doing. If you're just touching grass, if you're just turning off your wallet, not even looking at your portfolio, that is what I'd also recommend if that is a position that you're in. But worst thing I think you can do right now is panic sell, especially if you're at a loss. I think selling right now is completely pointless. That is my opinion, though, not financial advice. As always, you do you. But I just want to give you guys my opinion and where we're at right now, what recently, happened that is affecting the markets, and where we could potentially be going as far as my personal opinion goes. So as always, if you guys want an optional way of supporting the channel, there is a Patreon linked below, or the Discord, or if you guys got value out of today's video, if you guys could like the video, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. All right, see you guys.